We are Big 12 today here on Big 12 Radio, where off-season optimism is
mandatory.
We're paying attention. It's Big 12 today on Big 12 Radio. We are brought to you, the full-time fan, by our friends at Modelo. And each and every day, we have been going through names to know, Big 12 impact transfers for the upcoming football season, ranking our top five. Denzel Johnson, the former TCU safety who played from 2013 to 16, will be on the show here in about 15, 20 minutes. So we've got our list. Modelo fan rule number 17, by the way, you must overreact to spring scrimmage highlights.
It's the full-time fans do.
It's the full-time fan. All right.
Because remember, the off-season, there is no off-season. So football is king 365 days out of the year, and that's what we're leading into for the Big 12 and Big 12 today.
So yesterday we did cornerbacks. Today we are doing safeties. And tomorrow we will do
linebackers.
Not wide receivers. We will do linebackers tomorrow because we already did receivers. So
why would we do it again?
We will not do it again. All right, safeties. I had one safety because I botched the assignment yesterday and included corners and safeties. So I had Boo Carter from Tennessee who transfers to Colorado. He will not be on my list today. So what does your list look like? Top 5 impact safeties.
Yeah, the newcomers at the safety position. And similar to yesterday with corners, I'm going to have 2 Arizona Wildcats on my list. I'm going to start number 5 with Cam Chapa from Northern Colorado. He transfers to Arizona at safety. This is a dude that is a 2-time FCS All-American in Northern Colorado. 23 starts, 171 tackles, and 8 interceptions. The last 2 seasons, his first 2 years in Northern Colorado, this dude has led Northern Colorado in tackles and interceptions and is a 2-time FCS All-American. So in 2 seasons, he's done about as all you can do at his position, and now he takes his talents to Arizona. He's from Aurora, Colorado. He's 6'1", 193 pounds. Number 4 is another Arizona Wildcat, and that is the Nebraska transfer Malcolm Hartzog Jr., who proven ball-producing safety, 32 career starts, 8 interceptions. So with a Arizona rebuild in the secondary, I think Chapa and Hartzog kind of immediately slide in to important positions. So I think both of those guys will be starting at safety. And I think Hartzog and Chapa are 2 guys they've added that are big in terms of ball skills. Both have 8 interceptions over the last 2 seasons. Number 3 for me is Jacob Fields for TCU, a transfer from Louisiana Tech, a kid that was the co-defensive player of the year in Conference USA last year, 3 interceptions, 2 pick sixes last year. He's from Melissa in the Dallas area, and he returns home from Louisiana Tech to take over at TCU. My number 2 is Boo Carter, guy that's not even on your list. Tennessee transfer from Colorado. He's coming off a season in which he forced 3 fumbles in just 8 games. He is a 4-star transfer and a former 4-star recruit. So Cleveland, Tennessee is where he's from, and this is a big addition for Colorado to add Boo Carter, who has been opportunistic when he's been on the field, has been very, very good for Tennessee when he's been on the field, and again, a guy that is both a 4-star transfer and a former 4-star recruit. My number 1, though, is Josiah McGrew Jordan, the Arizona State transfer from Florida International. This is a dude that has all kinds of potential. He's coming off a freshman All-American season. He had 68 tackles, 4 interceptions, 5 pass breakups, and 2 forced fumbles as a freshman. He led Conference USA in interceptions and forced fumbles as a freshman. So for me, Josiah McGrew stood out more than anybody because in 1 season at Florida International, he was an All-American as a freshman and led Conference USA in interceptions and forced fumbles as a freshman. So big-time playmaker, very under-the-radar addition for Arizona State. That's my list. Anybody that you have that's the same?
So looking at your top 5, I have 2 of your 5 on my list.
And that does not include Boo Carter.
Correct.
Wow.
So our lists look very different, which I think is a good thing and says a lot about the depth of this conference at the safety position, which is a really, number 1, it's a unique position to define because a lot of safeties are playing like linebackers now. A lot of them will play in
nickel
coverage. Exactly. In terms of almost being safety/corner hybrids. All right, my list, At number 5, I've got a guy who's at West Virginia, Jacob Bradford. He's an LSU transfer. He was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and went to high school there. Started his playing career at LSU. He appeared in games against Louisiana Tech, Western Kentucky, got in against Oklahoma, played a little bit against Houston in the Texas Bowl, but he was outstanding in high school. He was a cornerback, free and strong safety at Catholic High in Baton Rouge, two-time 5A All-State first team. He played on a really good team in Baton Rouge. He was a consensus 4-star prospect out of high school. So I've got Bradford at number 5, one of those guys with a really high ceiling. We just haven't seen him on the field much because he's really young. At number 4, I've got Randon Fortinet for Colorado. Played previously at Vanderbilt. I mentioned him yesterday. He's kind of a linebacker safety hybrid, really big, 6'2", 220 pounds. Originally signed out of high school with TCU, and his 2 years at Vanderbilt, 125 tackles. He had 73 last year. He had an interception that was actually a pick six, a 29-yard pick six. He had 52 tackles, 6 pass breakups, 5 quarterback hurries, and a forced fumble when he was closer to the line of scrimmage and playing a little bit more of that linebacker role. At number 3, this is where we are the same. I've got Malcolm Hartzog Jr., Hartzog, the transfer from Nebraska, headed to Arizona. Only 5'9", 185 pounds, but played 4 seasons at Nebraska. I mean, he is really experienced, had 13 pass breakups, had 8 interceptions. Now, last year, he didn't play a ton. He was hurt for the Cornhuskers, but he's been around. He's well-traveled. He's experienced. Huge pickup for Arizona. At number 2 is where I have a guy that I'm a little surprised didn't make your list, Lyric Rawls at Arizona State, because he was at Kansas last year. One of these inter-conference transfers from Marshall, Texas originally, part of that Texas to Tempe wave, 6'1", 205 pounds. He started in all 12 games last year for KU, had 73 tackles, 7 pass breakups, had an interception, and was maybe KU's best defensive back a season ago. And then at number 1, this is where we are the same. We both love Cam Chapa, who's a transfer from Northern Colorado in Greeley, Colorado. He's an FCS transfer, so he's leveling up. But NFL scouts love his range. He's 6'1", 193 pounds. He's really long-armed. He's the highest-rated safety transfer in the Big 12, higher than Boo Carter or some of these other 4 or 5-star guys, according to ESPN and On3. And you had his numbers. I mean, 8 career interceptions, 171 tackles at Northern Colorado. Led the Big Sky in solo tackles this past year as a safety. I think that production, when you're that good at that level, travels to the Big 12. He's a plug-and-play starter right away for Arizona.
Well, you had him at 1. I had him at 5. But, yeah, I mean, and I probably only had him at 5 simply because we're talking about FCS numbers.
Right.
But, I mean, this dude in 2 years proved basically everything you could possibly do at the FCS level. Like, he led his team in tackles his first 2 years. He led his team in interceptions his first 2 years. And he was an FCS All-American. Like, you can't – at safety, you pretty much can't do anything else. So he's proven out at FCS that he's better than anybody else at that level. I love that you brought up Lyric Rawls. That was an oversight on my part. And maybe because I wanted to see a little bit more variety than just from the state of Arizona, because I had 2 guys from Arizona, as you did. A few other guys. I think Adrian Maddox is extremely underrated. You know, we both had 2 different guys from Colorado on our list. That doesn't take into account Adrian Maddox, who's a Colorado transfer from Georgia, but previously was at UAB where he was extremely productive. I mean, 70-plus tackles, multiple INTs, strong PBU numbers, talking about what he did at UAB. Didn't play a ton at Georgia, which is why he transferred out, but a guy that was extremely productive that was just missed my list. Another guy that just missed my list is the Oklahoma State transfer at safety, Quentin Hammond, who comes from North Texas. Many of these guys are transferring over from North Texas, including Hammond, another guy that I think could be a huge player. And then there's one guy named Jaja Boyd who transfers in from Indiana, who seems more like a high ceiling type guy, very athletic, great range. Indiana transfer Jaja Boyd is another guy at safety that I like a lot. Can also play defensive back. I think he's more of a safety and he projects more of a safety, but we'll see where he ends up playing.
The desert was kind at this position.
Yeah.
Arizona and Arizona State two programs that put a ton of emphasis on their defensive backfields.
But both lose a ton also, right? I mean, part of this also, like BYU's not on either of our corner or safety lists because they didn't have to replace a ton there. They bring back the majority of those guys. Whereas, you look at Arizona State, Keith Abney, just think through some of these guys that are gone now that they had to replace.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be a really, I think it's an impressive group. When I looked at guys that maybe transferred out from this position, Moss left Kansas State, and where did he go? Tennessee. That's a loss. In terms of like portal movement, some of this I look at net positive and net negatives for the league. Kamari Wilson's another guy that just missed my cut from Memphis, who's transferring to West Virginia. But the more that we do these rankings, I start to get a feel for some of these teams that maybe when we were doing our previews and what they've done this offseason, I overlooked some of these guys and hadn't really, grasped that West Virginia overhauled their defense with some guys that have really high ceilings in terms of former stars, former productivity, like Kamari Wilson, who wasn't a highly recruited kid out of Florida. Even though he went to IMG Academy, he was basically a backup in high school, goes to Memphis and just has a monster season to land at West Virginia. There's some really nice like diamonds in the rough at this position and in this league collectively.
Well, and West Virginia also added a high 4-star safety as well from Pennsylvania that was initially committed to Penn State. And so, like, I think your point is well stated. When we did our West Virginia preview, one of the things that stood out was they went for guys with really high ceilings, former 4- or 5-star recruits, guys with tons of talent, a lot of athleticism, measurables, maybe not the production from lesser schools, but guys that have really high ceilings. And so, I mean, they have the potential to be really talented. It's just they've got a bunch of guys that haven't really proven it at that level yet.
And Adrian Maddox is going to
Colorado?
Is it Colorado or is it Kansas State?
Kansas State, thank you, yes.
Okay. Kansas State.
I had that wrong,
I like that. Marcus Wimberly is another one that probably deserves a mention. Transfers to Utah from Oklahoma. Former high 4-star kid out of high school, wasn't on the field a ton. Daniel Cobbs is a safety who's transferring from Kansas State to be with Coach Klanderman at Baylor. Coy Beasley from Miami, Ohio to Kansas State, where he was an All-MAC player. And then there was one more that I was going to note that I missed. Jasper Beeler, transfer
Cincinnati.
From Northern Illinois to Cincinnati.
Yeah, very productive. And then the 5-star, 4-star safety recruit for West Virginia, 5'11", 190 pounds, out of McDonald, Pennsylvania, Fort Cherry High School, Matt Sieg, who's an incoming freshman. They flipped him from Penn State. And
yes.
This is a guy that could potentially play both ways as well, a guy that is sort of like an athlete, was just they call him a small school superhero. He basically rewrote the record books for Pennsylvania State high school football. He was a quarterback for 4 years, so a guy that you just want to see on the field, but projects more as a safety.
Huge pickup, the number one recruit for West Virginia. All right, coming up next, Denzel Johnson, former TCU safety. What does it take in today's era where defenses are ahead of the offense? He played at TCU from 2013 to 2016. He joins us around the corner. Coming up next, part of our Names to Know series, Big 12 Impact Transfers. We're breaking down the safety position today here on Big 12 Radio, exclusively on TuneIn.